It's, it's a great technical conference here at Stanford. And then, lo and behold, once we sold out in 3 weeks, we added a live stream, and 6,000 people showed up on the live stream. So that's why we decided to actually take this a little further. And we don't want to create a huge conference here, just here. What we really wanted to do is use the live stream in a different way and reach a lot more people where they live.
I think I spoke to a few of you beforehand, and we didn't want to recreate Grace Hopper model. We felt it was really powerful to have the events around the world with the local community.
And so now, fast forward just a couple of years later, and thanks to all of you present in this room as well as many others, we actually had 150 events. We were in 50 countries worldwide, and we had 100,000 participants via the regional events. Our estimate for the live attendees at these regional events worldwide was about 14,000, we believe, and then the remainder were online through live stream or Facebook Live. And that was actually, some of the live stream was from Johanna, some of the live stream was from Stanford, we also were from Beirut, so there were multiple live stream sessions. And I know that not all of you are up here, but at least some of you are up here. And so this is actually the group that made a portion of the group that made all of that happen, including all the people in this room. It's been, I was telling, when I introduced myself earlier, I was saying it's just been a great honor to work with all of you to bring WiDS worldwide.
And so I'm just curious, how many of you had local teams working on the Datathon? Okay. Oh, cool. Well, and actually you're going to talk about that later, which I'm really looking forward to. We weren't sure what we were going to get into with this Datathon, but we said, this would be a really great opportunity to get more women introduced to data science, do something fun with some camaraderie, not too much competition, but that they can learn about a predictive analytics challenge. And when we talked to the folks at Kaggle that Google now owns, they said that their general Kaggle audience is about 90% male. And that they were really excited to see how we could reach women through these Kaggle competitions. So they worked with us, and then the Gates Foundation worked with us. They, through their recipient, the grant recipient, gave us a data set with a survey that was done in India, all about financial services for the poor. And so we thought, well, let's just do something super simple the first year and just predict the gender. And so that's what we did. We were thrilled by the number of people who registered. Not everyone who registered ended up going through the full Datathon, but we did have a number of teams, over 200, and they could be between 1 and 4 people per team. And we said, since we wanted to encourage women, it had to be at least 50% women on the team. And that was great. In the end, we ended up with, I think, over 50% of the teams were 4 women on the team. So 100% women. So I think that was really a wonderful way to bring the women together. 26 countries participated, and Kaggle was really pleased, as were we, because in the survey afterwards, 77% said they had never done a Kaggle or a similar predictive analytics challenge. So we realized we have a lot of newbies. It's something for us to think about. We will be doing it again next year, and I'll tell you more about in a second. But it gave us some good ahas about what we could do differently, and I definitely welcome all your input on that. And then, in trying to extend the impact, because you think, wow, we're looking at inspiring, educating, and supporting women. Wouldn't it be great if we don't just have once a year conference, but spread things out throughout the year and reach more people? So we know podcasts are very popular these days. We're like, it's a way to highlight more women doing really cool things in the field. And Margot generously agreed to be the moderator with a little arm twisted. She's just wonderful at it. So we've been really busy the last few months, putting together now 10 episodes, basically. and we're close to launching those. So maybe some familiar faces from that you've seen at the conferences, and then some new faces as well. So I think we have captured a lot of breadth in this short podcast series, and the intent is ideally is to do this again next year. So this is just our first foray.
And so next we're going to go into WiDS 2019 and some of our plans going forward. And for starters, okay.
Yeah, so I've been spearheading, the speaker selection for the WiDS conference the last few years, and working with some phenomenal people. And thanks to all of you too for all the advice and ideas. Keep them coming because they're just great ideas. But maybe these are the same goals that you all have, and we can share these slides with you afterwards if you like. No problem there. But we really want to show some really shine a light on some rock stars that we call them. People just doing incredible work in the fields through a broad range of areas. So we try to keep about 50% industry and 50% academia, with the sprinkling of national labs, government, data for good, NGOs. So we really are trying to be sensitive to some ethical issues or some bias or some other things going on here. I think it opens a lot of eyes about that. And then we always encourage our speakers to talk about the future of the field.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can we still apply for the 2019, or it's just 1 year? Like this, you will have new investors applying for that.
So
We'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
Great question.
Because we learned a lot from this year, so
Yes.
it makes sense to redo it the next year, but
Absolutely. So we're still looking for speakers. We look for speakers in two main buckets. One is some broad technology areas, and if there's some that you don't see on here, let me know. If there's something that you're hearing that's bubbling up that you think, we've got to have someone on this year. And then application areas as well. And we try to every year have a mix of application areas. So last year we had someone in financial services. Maybe we won't have it this year, but at least we try to hit the main buckets there. So this is just a sneak preview. Margot has graciously agreed to moderate again and lead the career panel. So we're really excited about that. And then on the left, Madeline Udell. She's an assistant faculty at Cornell. She's actually an alum from this ICME program. And she's just amazing. She's a fantastic speaker, very energetic and motivating. And she's going to talk about missing data. So I'm really excited. She's working with a bank now that's doing credit card applications. So she's also going to address some of the ethics and bias when you're getting applications. And then on the right-hand side, Emma Brunskill is a relatively new faculty at Stanford in the CS department. And she's going to talk about reinforcement learning. So for those of you who are in the workshop today, you saw her student. So she is the faculty advisor and will be speaking at the conference, just to put that together. And reinforcement learning, I know, is a really important topic and a lot going on there. So I'm super excited that she said yes. So that's on speakers, and we're going to be hopefully getting the whole lineup in the next few months. And then on the Datathon, so that's another thing that I was actively involved in spearheading, and we've been building a core team for this year. We took the feedback from last year, which we were really excited about the feedback. We know there's room for improvement, but we're still delighted that we had so many people saying, yes, thumbs up. When we did the survey and talked about what did people like about it, people said they liked the challenge that we had, that it was interesting and relevant with some social impact, that it was fun being a part of that and learning about datathons. And they also liked interacting with other women. So especially in the places where they held events to mentor the students, we got great feedback that those were really powerful ways to bring women together and connect them even before the conference and the events. So the Datathon for 2019, we're planning to make it still a predictive analytics challenge. We're doing that because that's probably the easiest thing to do worldwide, because it's a single number answer and you can kind of measure who's highest on the leaderboard. Kaggle, I was just on the phone with Google Kaggle the other day, and they're going to support us again. So we'll use in-class platform. If anybody's been involved, that's their kind of their academia platform now, but it seems like it will work. We did hear the one concern people had is, could we start earlier? But they were just ramping up and learning about a competition and cleaning up their data set, and then it's like, bam, that's the end. So I can't promise, because it just depends on how quickly we can clean our data and get a good data set, but we will try. So ideally we'd like to launch it in January rather than February. So we'll have more information there soon. We're still looking for the data set that we're going to use, and we're having a call next week to discuss with our small team. But we'd like, if you have any ideas, something around social environmental impact would be awesome again. Has to appeal to a global audience, so we have some good California water databases, but we just didn't feel like that would be appropriate worldwide. 45,000 observations or rows is about ideal, maybe up to 100,000. But we want to make it accessible to everyone on a laptop, so you don't need any fancy equipment to do it. And then a real big challenge is that really we don't want to have a public data set that's been out there, because then people can game it. So we want to have some new data. Maybe they're planning to release it, but it hasn't quite yet been released. So we're actively looking for ideas. We're talking to some of the satellite companies, because they have some really cool data sets. We can do some interesting things about drought areas or whatever. We're looking at some healthcare data sets, although sometimes privacy is really the big issue there, and we don't want to have to put people under NDA. But we, of course, would love a healthcare data set, anything with like urban impact that could be really interesting, or we're certainly open to any ideas you all have. So please send them to us, and we'll we're evaluating actively. Hopefully we'll close in the next 4 weeks on this. And then I'm going to turn it over to Judy, because I think now we're getting into your question.
Yes.
How is the ambassador program going to work going forward?
So I thought that it would be interesting for all of you to know sort of the group that you're among. Like, who are these people who have signed up worldwide to be WiDS ambassadors? And the answer is they're professors, there are some chancellors, vice chancellors, deans, and then also we've got these fantastic PhD students who are also working on some of these events as well, including Kayla and Rita, who are here today. And so that's actually, we're at a lot of universities worldwide, but we're also represented by 60 companies worldwide. So there are a lot of companies who are also interested in helping with this and building some momentum around getting more women into the field. And so we've had a lot of really great support, not only from our sponsors, but from other people at a local level, local sponsors as well as just organizers who have been a part of this initiative. We're also with 12 science institutes, national labs, and nonprofits throughout the world. We've got a couple of national labs represented, and research institutes, and nonprofit represented here today as well. And then the other group has been meetup organizers, and in fact you're going to hear from a meetup organizer in just a little while. Somebody who founded Women in Machine Learning and Data Science meetup organization. And so these are people who are consistently bringing data science, female data scientists to their communities And so they were a natural fit for WiDS to actually make a larger event out of it. So those are the host organizations worldwide. Now this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and Alicia and I were talking about this earlier as well. We actually are looking for folks who might want to do sort of a hub and spoke model, meaning have people who want to actually do live stream from their events so that you can actually get broader reach to even more areas. But we know that the folks at Stanford, the art conference, they're fantastic. We also know that there are all these fantastic women throughout the world who also deserve airtime. So we would like to be able to have that hub and spoke model. One of the groups who's done this already has been in Beirut at the American University of Beirut. They had 750 people live, and then they also had live stream, and the live stream went to several countries. And this happened both in 2017 and 2018. And there's Lama and Frida, who are the WiDS ambassadors from there. Another interesting, what I've been so fascinated by is that if you just put a little bit of structure, like we were talking about just having a little bit of structure, and then providing that, and then what's amazing to me is all the creativity that comes after that. And this one that I thought was incredibly creative. This biostatistician organization in Africa is run by Nikki Mulder and Amel Goulia. And Amel, who's on the right, actually in 2017 she attended a WiDS event in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And then she brought it back to Tunisia, the concept of doing a regional event to Tunisia, and shared it with Nikki Mulder, who's from South Africa. She's on the website. And they decided to do a Pan-African, all online conference. So they actually had a full day of speakers, and they actually switched presenters. So they had people who were speaking from Ghana, they had people from Nigeria, they had people from Morocco, they had people, and then also Nikki and Amel. So it really was a Pan-African conference, and through this biostatistician network. So I thought that was just an incredibly creative approach. And then we've got Arij and Natalie here today. But a lot of people are also trying to take that education goal a step further and actually developing workshops at a local level too. So in WiDS Taipei, they actually had 3 workshops that they did in Tel Aviv. That was the first. We were in Israel for the first time this year, and they actually did a whole track of workshops. And Natalie, you're going to talk a little bit about the workshops that you did as well, and you can also talk to the leaders. I know we had a lot of workshops at your session as well. So that's what's happening there. So people have been incredibly creative. Last but not least, some people have chosen to take WiDS and then have a vertical focus. And for instance, the Michigan Health and Hospital Association and also Rutgers University did this as well in 2017. They had a focus that was just on healthcare. And in the case of Rutgers, it was actually biomedicine. Slightly different slant. And then in Ottawa, Canada, the focus was on artificial intelligence. And then Ronnie is going to be putting on an event in Oakland that's actually featuring women of color in the field. So you can actually also take it in that direction. And now this is to get into your question. I wanted to take you through, because we've actually grown at such a rapid rate, right? We actually started with one conference and then we got, which is really wonderful. We're so thrilled by that. It does sort of necessitate having a little bit of structure, a little bit more structure so that we can manage it, because we do anticipate that it'll continue to grow. And And so I wanted to take you through some of those changes. So first of all, this is one thing that's not changing at all.
Yeah.
Let's just get that one out of the way. And that's because we've had so much great support across campus, and we've also had wonderful support from some global sponsors. So we're very appreciative of all of that support, and that's what enables us to do that. We're also going to be providing better, more thorough guidelines and an official license agreement this time.
That was one of the challenges.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we want to do is we want to provide more guidance around branding, make it clear what you can and cannot do, so that we have a lot more consistency. That's really what we're going for, is having more consistency worldwide. And so then I don't have to buy into Can we talk about this? I think that if I provide a lot more information up front, it'll be that much easier to follow. And because I know that everybody wants to do it the consistent way, so we're just going to try to enable that a little bit better than we have so far. And then to your question, Rania, we are going to do this annually, but it's going to be renewable. And so we're going to review it every year, but obviously the first folks who get the email about the program being open are the people who have already posted events. Okay, so that's definitely happening. And then we're also going to be providing more promotional materials. So one thing that we're going to ask you to do this year is, in order, again, for that consistency part, is to actually use our opening video, so that every conference worldwide actually starts the same way. So we'll be providing an opening video for you this year. We're also adding, one thing that we've noticed is that people with the websites in particular, it's been hard to sort of figure out how to put those together. So we're going to try to provide a little bit more guidance and templates around the website and promotional design. So I think that I'm hoping that that'll make your lives a lot easier. And then it'll also make everybody's look a little bit more similar. Not totally similar, but more similar, so that it'll look like it's all from the same general initiative. And then I'm also putting together sort of a clearer timeline and set of deliverables. So for instance, the main one is really going to be, we're going to ask that people provide agendas and registration and venue addresses by January 25th, because we want to make sure that we have enough. We have to sort of do these in groups, or else, because the stragglers, the exceptions, make it hard to actually get it all done for you. So we want to make sure that we can promote you and put you up on our website. And we also, of course, need to make sure that everybody's a woman who's on who's on the agenda, and that it sort of fits the format. So we'll be checking out those.
Do you know, I just realized, is everyone aware it's March 4th, 2019, and that's just before International Women's Day, which is March 8th. So we like that timing. We think it's really great to rally people around. Just in case you didn't know, that's why January 25th.
So I wanted to let you know, so this is sort of a preview of what the program is going to look like. I'm not launching it yet. We're doing a few more approvals, those of you who are at universities. And I see you reading on your head. We have, some bureaucracy around here too, as we do at university. So we're just waiting for a few more approvals before I launch it officially. But like I said, you're obviously all on my list. So as soon as it's available, it will be to you. Okay, and that is it for me.